Well, hello and welcome to our first look at Tiffin University basketball, the 2023-24 school year. Hi, everybody. I'm Snyder, voice of the Dragons. To my right, head men's basketball coach, Mr. Tom Church. And, Coach, welcome. Like I said, normally a couple weeks earlier we get this started, but kudos to our fall athletic teams. Football and soccer kept me a little busy.
Had a great season. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But now we're here to talk about what goes on behind us here at the Gilmore Student Center. It's time to talk men's basketball. Your kids off to a pretty good start right now. 5-0, first 5-0 mark for a Dragon men's basketball team in 27 years. Amazing.
We're off to a great start, and we talked a lot about that in the preseason, and certainly the scrimmages and things that we had prepared us, but couldn't ask for a better start, and we're playing well.
Now you can already tell your voice is going a little bit. I mentioned it in the broadcast of our last game. Can't wait to talk to you about the end of January. We'll see how you're doing at that point.
Oh boy, hopefully better.
Well, the Dragons are set off to a 5-0 start. Last time we got to see Tiffin right back here was against Bryant and Stratton out of Buffalo. A 94-66 win for the Dragons. You're going to step up in competition this week with both the games that you're going to play this week. Well, let's just talk about your feel for your kids after the first 5 games. Great start to the season, going out in that crossover and getting yourself a couple wins down in Ohio Dominican.
Yeah, 2 quality GLVC opponents. McKendree, who lost in the regional finals last year to UMSL to go to the Elite Eight. And they got a good portion of their team back, and they're playing well. They just went to Ferris and won at Ferris State, that's a huge win for us. And McKendree and Lewis, obviously both regional opponents. So we played well in the crossover defensively. We're a little bit further along than I thought we would be this early in the season, but we got a lot of veterans. We've got a lot of guys back. So definitely happy with our defensive effort there. And went down and played a great exhibition game, and we were able to play everybody and got some different looks. And and then coming back home, we've played well here.
Yeah.
So Kentucky State, that was a really physical, rough game. We were able to come away with a win, and then I thought we really clicked in the Edinburgh game. Not only on the defensive end, but we were able to shoot the ball and kind of get going. So it's been good so far, and we're kind of keeping things in perspective, and we're definitely stepping up as far as opponents go with Walsh. But we're excited where we're at right now.
Well, you mentioned as we started to talk about the start of the season, you mentioned defense first and foremost. So when you look at it from a novice perspective as mine, when you getting your team ready to get started the season, is usually the defense a little bit ahead of where your offense is?
Yeah,
you kind of lean on that.
Certainly. And your focus is on the defensive end, especially early on in practice. Right. You take a 2.5-hour practice, and probably 2 hours are spent on the defensive end. And we've kind of, our guys have really, really bought into that, because you're going to have nights where you're not going to be able to shoot it particularly well. Whereas sometimes it just feels like the ball's not going in as easy as it is in other games. But defense, you can bring it every single night, and our guys have definitely bought into that.
Well, you mentioned the physicality of some of the games earlier. Has anybody been beat up more than Joshua Rivers this early into a season? My God, a couple of games he's been on the floor quite a bit. I hope he's doing all right nowadays.
He is. He's a little sore.
He's one of the guys that can handle it, though. He is put together.
Such a tough kid. He really, really is. And the last 2 games, it's just, it's been extremely physical for him, but he's good. He's coming along with everything. Just to see him laying on the floor a couple times out there was a little bit scary. But he's coming through, and he'll be fine. Yeah,
he probably thought he'd be fine. Probably more scary for the guys on the bench, his buddies, his teammates, his coaches. Pretty crazy.
That was a pretty scary situation on Tuesday, and like I said, he's able to come through it. So we're glad he's healthy and getting better and all that.
Seasoned veteran, and when you're a veteran at the college level, you're no longer a boy. You're a full-grown man by that point. And Dragons got a lot of them out there this year. And let's talk a little bit about your rotation. You happy where your rotation is right now?
Yeah, we've got basically, our starting 5 back from last year, and those guys have been really, really good. And but it's our bench to where they're a little bit further along than I thought they would be. They're giving great minutes. Brandon Swaby, KJ Pruitt, Raven Brown, John Muhammad. Those guys have come in and really kind of bought into their role.
Right.
And we've needed them, like you talk about, with some of the injuries and guys. We've needed them more at times. And so those guys have started games before. So it's like we're having starters come off the bench, and that's big for us. So and that's like you said, the veteran presence. These games have been tight, especially those first 2 crossover games, and the way that we were able to handle the end of the game situation, I think, goes back to last year. Finding out. There is something to where you have to face a little adversity, and then your program has to learn how to win.
Right.
And we certainly did. We learned how to win at the end of the year. McKendree, I think, had a 4 or 5 point lead. they had hit a couple free throws, and there was 10 minutes to go in the game, and we didn't panic at all. So we were able to finish the game. Same way in the Lewis game. It was tied with about 8 to 10 minutes to go, and we were able to finish. So I think there's something to that, to where we don't panic.
Right.
We know where the ball needs to go, or where we need to get our shots from, and we've been successful.
You can kind of see some of the guys that come off your bench starting to develop their roles, and you can kind of see it from where I'm sitting up there, and it's kind of cool to see. Another thing that's kind of nice too is that you got multiple guys that can handle the basketball as well. Teams want to try to pressure you full court. If somebody's in foul trouble, it's not that big a deal. You got a handful of guys that can really handle the ball if you need them to.
Well, for sure. Like Morgan is obviously our starting point guard.
Right.
He's our lead guard. He brings the ball up, and then KJ Pruitt off the bench, he'll handle the point.
I think he's been doing a really good job for you.
He's been doing really, really good. I mean, defensively, he is just really good. But also, like in the last game, he had 5 boards, 5 assists. I didn't turn the ball over. So he's getting the ball where it needs to go, and he can score when he needs to as well. I think Morgan's just been tremendous right now. He's healthy. He's managing the game the way that we wanted to. He's finding guys in the open floor. But you're right. Like Karius handled a little bit more of the point guard duties last year, so now we have him a little bit more off the ball. But he can bring it up at any time as well. So we certainly have some options, at this point.
Well, as you said, there's step up in competition this week, and part of that's because you're going to start your conference play in here on Thursday night. Walsh, they've been one of the best teams in the GMAC the last few years. I mean, they've had as consistent a program as many, and I know that you really think they got a good ball club.
They're really good. They're really good. Their wins right now are Grand Valley State at home, and then at ranked IUP. And they're only going to have played 2 games coming in here. So they'll have had 2 weeks off, but these 2 games that they won are really, really good wins, and they're a really, really good ball club. They've got a lot back from last year. Playing them now or playing them later, it just kind of is what it is now. Yeah. The key in this game is we only play them once this year.
Right.
So we will not go to their place. So, this game this year, the one time is at our place. So, it'll be a big game, and we're asking all the Dragons to get out here, all the fans, get here and pack the house. Women's game's at 5:30. We're at 7:30. It's going to be a huge game, and we're trying to, again, keep things in perspective. We talked to the guys before the year starts. We're not going to get too high after a win, and we're not going to get too low after a loss. And I think that's part of our progression as a program, moving forward.
Well, there's nothing like getting started off on the right foot when you're starting conference play, though, is there?
It certainly helps. It'll certainly help. We're one of the few teams, we only have 2 conference games before the first of the year. We'll play Ohio Dominican in another week and a half or 2 weeks. But we have a bye week, and then we had to move a game because we're going to Florida.
Right.
So some teams will have played 4 games before the first of the year in conference. We'll have only played 2.
So it'd be kind of weird if you're looking at the standings, maybe in the start early January, it might be a little skewed because of the amount of games that teams are playing. So let it play out over a couple of weeks and things will start to take care of themselves. Then you got a former conference opponent coming in here on Saturday in Wayne State, who they consistently have a pretty darn good program as well.
Well, they really do, and they got us last year at their place. We played well. We kind of started to see our team a little bit more in that game. I think that was our 4th game of the year, and we had kind of started to put it together. We had the lead in the second half and couldn't finish. But that'll be a really, really good game here. They've played a couple GMAC opponents who we're familiar with, and but that'll be another big in-region game. At the end of the year, last year we started winning some games, and I wanted to beef up our schedule, and certainly having Wayne State come in here is gonna be a big game for us.
Oh, we used to play in the GLIAC. I always thought they had the best popcorn of any place that we played at, so I always have a soft spot.
They not only have the best popcorn, but they have one of the best arenas now too in Division II basketball. So they have a brand new facility up there, which is really nice.
I gotta get up there and check it out sometime. The Dragons will be taking on Wayne State this Saturday, but Walsh first on Thursday night. And Coach, I was looking at some of the statistics that we have going on with your squad right now. You got 4 guys averaging double digits right now. 4 of your 5 starters. Whoever's the whoever leads you to scoring that night is the next day the top scorer on your team because they're so close together. Talk about that consistency and having multiple guys that can fill it up for you on any night of the week.
Yeah, I mean, we just have really good balance, and I think that just goes to the strength of our team, that it could be somebody different every night. And I thought Karius and Karius, Kiani, and Lopez have played really well these last couple games. They've seen the ball go in, and I think that's big for us. We are really, really good on the defensive end. our pressure and all that. But it's like if we can make shots, I think we're going to be really, really tough to beat. So having those two guys being able to make shots and just kind of give us a different, because we know Josh and Wes.
Yep.
Being able to go inside, points in the paint, getting those guys touches is big. But when we're able to make shots, now it just kind of frees everybody else up. And Morgan, again, I go back to his health. He's been healthy. It seems like he's been even more explosive this year than he ever has been. So, him being able to score in the post and be able to knock down some shots, and his pull-up game is big for us. And I can't go without mentioning Brandon Swaby off the bench.
I was going to mention it in a moment.
He has been extremely consistent for us. I thought he's played tremendous all year, but especially at the beginning of the year in that crossover, he's just got that veteran. This is his 5th year of school. He's been able to knock down some shots. He's been really, really good for us. So we're getting it from a lot of different guys right now.
In Swaby, I mentioned in our previous broadcast, he seems like a guy, if he sees a couple go in early on, watch out, because he may be filling it up on you off the bench real quick.
He really can, and he can defend, and that's the thing. He can guard multiple positions, and that's huge for us because we do a lot of switching. Our size, we don't have, Kale last year, 6'9", 6'10". We don't really have that, but across the board, we've got great size and great length at the guard position.
Right. Yeah, and you mentioned Morgan Taylor. I think maybe some of in him now is confidence through the roof, knowing that you put the ball in his hands too as a point guard. That trust and everything. Sometimes as a basketball player, just knowing everybody, the coach, everybody else trusts you, it just puts that confidence level.
Well, not only has he played well, extremely well, but like his demeanor and his voice. He's been kind of talking to the guys, and he's been a little bit louder voice, which we love to see because he's a captain. And that's great. That's great leadership for us to be able to see as coaches.
Yeah, absolutely. Dragons, as I said, on Thursday night we'll have Walsh in here. Men's game following the women's game. So women at 5:30. We'll actually have the women over here tomorrow night, as they'll have. Was it Wayne State? They have themselves on tomorrow night. I can't remember. Ursuline. That's right. They just played Wayne State recently. Yep. Yeah, Ursuline in town. So we got women's basketball tomorrow night, or which would be it's Tuesday night. Men's and women's basketball on Thursday, and men's basketball on Saturday. So all kinds of basketball happening here at the Gilmore Student Center this coming week. Coach, anything else you want to touch on before we bring in Coach Mason and talk about the women's program?
No, I think, like I said, just be able to get out here, and they've come out with a new media poll here.
Explain to that. I wanted to bring that up. Explain how, because you mentioned Wayne State being a regional opponent, how important that was in your schedule. Just tell the folks a little bit how the regionals worked, because that helps figure out who's going to the NCAA tournament.
It does. So you got to finish in the top 8. There's 8 regions in Division II, 8 times 8, that's 64 teams. So there's a couple ways you can get voted in and get an at-large bid, or you can get an AQ, an automatic qualifier, by winning your conference tournament.
Gotcha.
But throughout the year, there's categories that they vote on and that you get points for, and one of those categories is your in-region opponent's record, your in-region wins, your D2 wins. So we've got 4 D2 wins right now. We've got a couple in-region wins and with McKendree and Lewis. And then this week would be 2 in-region games with Walsh and Wayne State. So right now, I think that there's another ranking that's going to be coming out today. But in the previous one, we found ourselves in the region rankings at number 8 right now, and that's good to see. We have no problems talking about it because we know it's a long year. We know there's a lot of games to be played. But again, it's nice to get off to the start that we have. Like you said, best start in 27 years. So we're going to try to keep it going.
Yeah, catch the Dragons this Thursday and Saturday right here at the Gilmore Student Center right behind us. And if you'd like more information on Tiffin University basketball, the best place to get it's at gotiffindragons.com. Well, we'll do it again next week soon. We'll be putting a studio together hopefully the next couple of weeks, so we'll be able to actually do this in a real television studio here real soon. So
lots of exciting things happening. Again, shout out to our fall athletics, volleyball making the conference tournament, and men's soccer hosting and football hosting. I mean, that was great to see.
Only Division II school in the country with a 1 seed in men's soccer and football. Pretty cool stuff.
Athletics is rolling. We love it.
Yep. GoTiffinDragons.com is where you get all that information. We'll step aside real quick and come back with Coach Josh Mason. This is Tiffin University Dragon Basketball Weekly. Okay. Well, welcome back to our first of the season, Tiffin University Dragon Basketball Weekly. Women's head coach Josh Mason sitting to my right. I'm Russ Snyder, voice of the Dragons, and finally get a chance to talk to you about some basketball, man. I've been busy with fall sports, got me busy with the postseason runs, and now I get to take a deep breath and talk a little basketball. How you doing?
Oh, wonderful, man. It's always great to see the fall sports be successful, and hopefully that success is a little contagious here going into the winter.
Right, yeah. What about the fall? I mean, the women's volleyball makes a run to the semifinals in the conference tournament. We're the only school in the country to have a 1 seed in men's soccer and football.
Right.
So pretty cool stuff going on, and yep, now it's your turn.
It is.
Now it's your turn.
Yes. Hopefully we can follow sort the right way, because it was they definitely laid the foundation to success to begin the year.
Right. Well, we haven't had a chance to see your girls out here yet this year. We'll get a chance to do that tomorrow night for the first time when they welcome in Ursuline. A big week for your kids as you have 2 conference games coming up this week, Ursuline and then Walsh on Thursdays. But first, let's take a look at your team after the first 4 games of the season. You come in at 1-3, got a big road win at Lake Superior State. I've done a game there before. It's pretty interesting, like a little window way up on top, high on the wall there. But talk a little bit about what your kids did in that game to get that W.
Yeah, I think the best thing about that was the resilience in the second half. We took a pretty big lead in the first half. I think then got a little comfortable, and Lake Superior took the lead, took a big lead actually, and our ability to come back and keep fighting through and getting a tough one at the end of the fourth quarter, I think spoke volumes of our kids' grit and toughness. Not always common when you're playing a bunch of young kids. So
right.
We do have quite a bit of freshmen, sophomores still playing a lot of minutes for us. So their ability to bounce back that quickly in a game was awesome to see.
Yeah, let's talk about the ups and downs. Big lead, big deficit, be able to battle back, especially doing it on the road. Yeah, it's a character building game.
Yeah, for
absolutely.
Sure. The best thing about the team that we have is I love the ceiling. I love our potential.
Mm-hmm.
The worst thing is we do have some inconsistency right now. So
is that
you can see yes. I do believe it's the youth just getting more comfortable. Also, we're playing a little bit different system than we did last year. A little bit more tempo. Less walking, and so I think even our returners, even though we have quite a bit returning, they're still getting used to it.
Right.
So I think we've reduced our turnovers each game, which has been awesome. We're scoring more points than we did last year, which has been awesome. So I think just waiting for that moment to put it all together.
Right. I'm talking to Josh Mason. He's the head women's basketball coach here at Tiffin University. And yeah, you talk about your roster. You have a mix of girls who have either been here for a long time or have not played much basketball. That in between, that like junior range, you don't have a lot of that. But talk a little bit about the growth of some of those young kids here in the early going after just a handful of games.
Yeah, I think the best thing right now is, like you said, we have some COVID seniors. We have a couple of them, and then we have a couple juniors, and we play a lot of freshmen, sophomores.
Yeah.
And I think what's fantastic to see is those few seniors and juniors that are playing, the leadership they're showing with our younger kids,
right.
and building their confidence to play. I think as a freshman, sophomore, when you step into the roles that we're asking our kids to step into, you're almost a little nervous
sure.
of where you're supposed to be. Don't want to step on teammates' toes or anything like that. And I think it's the confidence that our upperclassmen give them of like, no, we need you to shoot it.
Right.
We need you to go to the basket and attack it. I think has given our kids a sigh of relief. And when we start to play more confident, I think you can start seeing the improvement.
Right. I mean, young kids, it probably takes a little while for them to realize what their actual role is. Most of them probably around high school, green light to put it up whenever they need it. And now you come to a situation where you're playing Division II college basketball, and everybody has a role. Some of these kids starting to slide into that role.
Yes. I think everyone's starting to feel more comfortable in their role. And so we're kind of getting out of the stage of figuring it out.
Right.
As they become more comfortable, I think they can start focusing on little things in the game that instead of big picture, almost like minimal details,
right.
they're allowing us to build off of. So,
right. And you mentioned having those leadership in the upperclassmen as well. I mean, some of the names, Kirsten Williams, Savannah Richards, have been here for a long, long time, and talk about their approach to some of these young kids. They can hear it from you all day long, but sometimes having a peer back up what you're saying really lets it sink in more to the young kids.
Yeah, I think the best thing about them is they understand me. So
yeah, that's true.
Like those two, like it doesn't matter what I say in practice. They can, if they have to decipher that to the younger kids
right.
the way that they do, but they get it. They get where I'm coming from. They've also played on one of the best teams Tiffin University ever had. Went to the Sweet 16, mm-hmm. So they know what that looks like, and they want to get back to that. So when you have a COVID year, the best thing about COVID seniors is they know this is it. There's nothing left. And so since they've seen what happened last year and what they've come from, they want to get these kids moved along at a quicker pace because they want to leave on a high note.
Right. Well, let's talk about your nutshell of a season so far. It's only been 4 games, but talk about maybe a big surprise, maybe a big surprise, but a surprise maybe you've seen out your kids you weren't expecting this early?
I think the thing that I am extremely happy with, that I wasn't expecting this early, but knew we could get to, we're shooting the three more confident.
Excellent.
I think a lot of people, when they would leave our games, they would always tell me about, like, it looks like the kids aren't looking to shoot, and I think we're past that. We're definitely we're looking to score, being more aggressive.
All right.
I also love the fact that we've got all the kids to buy into the defensive end. Our returners knew that's what we're about, right? That's what we did last year as well. But I think this year, seeing everyone quickly understand that we've got to defend if you want to play, and buying into that has been awesome to see.
Yeah, you don't have a squad where you're going to put up 85 points a game, so you've got to bring it on the defensive end and basically keep things close and figure out a way to win ball games.
Right.
Yeah.
And another thing I've been impressed with is we talk about embracing the suck, or games being muddy. And like, there are a lot of teams that might panic in those situations or feel uncomfortable that things aren't going our way. I mean, I think we lost the game by 4 with 25 turnovers and 17 offensive rebounds.
Wow.
But we only lost by 4.
That's hard to put that math together.
100%. So as much as we don't want to say that's the model of our season, the fact that our kids, they didn't waver. Like, it's next play, it's move on. And that's exciting to see, especially being so young.
Well, it sounds like it's about making teams play Tiffin basketball and not having Tiffin play the way the other teams want to play it.
Correct.
Right. So, tomorrow night, right out here, the Dragons will be taking on Ursuline. Now the Dragons make Ursuline play Tiffin basketball.
We've got to be able to control the tempo. I will give Coach Swart and Ursuline credit. Their tempo, their pace of play is phenomenal. They're a great team, a skilled team, a very good offensive team. And if we don't find a way to control the tempo, it could be a rough night for us. But I think our kids understand what that means, and like you said, we've got to find a way to make them play Tiffin basketball and not Ursuline basketball.
Right. Well, and then you get another conference opponent on Thursday night with Walsh, a team who's consistently a pretty darn good basketball team in our conference as well.
Yeah, 100%. So it's a great thing about basketball we talk about all the time. You don't have time to dwell on anything.
That's a quick turnaround.
If it's a win or a loss, it doesn't matter. You got to move on. So I think this week depicts that. So it's 2 big GMAC teams. I think with our conference this year, I think anybody can be anybody.
Right.
So it's fun as a competitive standpoint, but obviously we got to hunker down and get ready for these 2.
So for me, the entertainment value should be through the roof for both women's and men's basketball this
100%.
year, which I am fully on board with. But talk a little bit about how important it is going to be for your girls to, at minimum, maybe try to get a split, if not get both. Just try to get off to get on the right foot here as conference play.
Yeah, I think, with our returners from last year, understanding what it means when you go in a hole in the GMAC. We had a great second half of the year, even though we didn't necessarily win them all. I think the improvement was there.
Certainly.
But they saw at the beginning of the year what happens when you start dropping GMAC games. So I think the importance of at least trying to get one, like you said, trying to get one, if not both, just from a confidence standpoint, because these kids need to see the ball go in the hoop, need to see the win in that side of the column. And I think after that, we're definitely going to be a team that rides momentum pretty hard.
Yeah, a couple games, a little bit of action here before the holiday break, and really, the January and February, the heart of the conference season. These early games in the conference are only going to set you up for success if you can go out there and play some good basketball, especially starting tomorrow night.
100%. Again, I think Ursuline's going to be an extremely tough team this entire year, and so starting them off, obviously a little nerve-wracking. That's game 1, but I think this is a big game for GMAC just overall standpoint, because of how good Ursuline can be.
And the fall sports are over with now, so the gym should be packed.
I certainly hope.
Thursday night, yeah.
I certainly hope.
Sell them.
I think the home court advantage at Tiffin is real. I love the one side of the bleachers, and when fans are here in the fourth quarter, when you can't hear yourself think, I love it, and I think our girls love it, and so I'd appreciate nothing more than all of you coming and acting a fool for us. I really do believe it helps.
Yeah, 100%. Nobody likes to play in front of an empty gym. It's still playing ball, you still have a lot of fun, but man, something about playing in front of a packed gym, usually it brings out the best in you. I still love it myself as a ball player.
100%.
All right, just give us a quick synopsis when folks come see your kids play out here on the gym, what they're going to see.
Yeah, I think when you come see us play, you're going to see a bunch of kids that are tough. You're going to see a bunch of kids that are committed to play some defense, but also the development of our confidence offensively is something I definitely want to see people to see as we progress through the season. I think it's been awesome to see the growth of the kids so far in 4 games, and looking forward to get started with the GMAC.
Now, you guys played just up at Wayne State recently, your last game. I believe they have a new facility. Coach Church was talking about. He says it's amazing.
Oh man, that facility was incredible, and it was great to see our kids. I mean, it was a back-to-back. So a lot of kids learning about the back-to-back life in college. But, 3 minutes left in the half. We're down 2, and we're feeling really good. They just beat a tough Cedarville team. They're a great ball team.
Yeah.
And then youth set in, and we did some things to kind of let the game get away from us.
Well, that's why you play the non-conference games.
100%.
Let's get that stuff out of the way.
Yeah.
We'll fix it in the conference.
Yes.
Let's get this stuff out of the way.
That was the goal. So we're hoping, fingers crossed, that we got that stuff out of the way, and now we can go to the GMAC play.
If you'd like more information on Tiffin University women's basketball, the best place to get it's at GoTiffinDragons.com. We have all the coverage of the games happening right over my shoulder on the radio at TUDragonRadio.com and the video at the Great Midwest Digital Network. Well, Coach, I'm looking forward to finally getting a chance to see your kids Tuesday and Thursday, and basically I'm gonna set up shop over there and I'll have to move my stuff for a couple months. So looking forward to it.
Yes, we're looking forward to it as well. We appreciate all you do for us.
Thank you very much. He's Coach Josh Mason. I'm Russ Snyder, voice of the Dragons, and this has been your look at Tiffin University Dragon Basketball on Dragon Basketball Weekly.